because this is where this is projected from. And see, what the system wants, and one of the key benefits from the system's point of view for us believing that everything's out there, is it wants us to believe that if we don't like what's out there, or what we perceive to be out there, we must change it out there. But there is no out there, so if we're going to change it out there, we're trying to change symbolically, or not even symbolically, very accurately, we're trying to change a movie by screaming at the screen. It's not going to change. The movie's just going to run. We've got to go within and find the projector and what's projecting the movie and change that, and then the movie must change. This can only change when this changes. Because by the time it hits the screen and becomes this holographic reality, this illusory physical reality, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. There's no changing it now. There's no changing the movie when it hits the screen. It's done. We've got to change it before it hits the screen. And that means going within to the deeper levels of ourselves where we decode this stuff and therefore change it. Everything that we see is just in our head. Everything, friends, family, in the physical way, everything is in our heads and produced digitally in the end. And it's a virtual reality. On many ways, it works with the same binary system, though it's far more sophisticated, that you find in computer systems, on-off electrical charges. The binary system, although it's more sophisticated in other parts of the brain as well. And again, just like DNA, where the O's and the 1's are in relation to each other decides what appears on the screen. Same with DNA. Everything is information. Everything is information being decoded. And it's being decoded in a desperately narrow band of frequencies. We look out and we think we're seeing this vastness. And again, on one level, it does seem like that. But actually, it's a frequency range that's so tiny, it's funny. Even mainstream science says that of the mass matter that exists in this universe in various forms, the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% of what they perceive to exist in this universe. Visible light, which is the only frequency range that our eyes can access and allows our brain to decode into this reality, is a fraction of the 0.005%. As someone rightly said, humans are basically blind because we're operating on such a narrow frequency. This is like just a three-dimensional television station. And beyond this are other television stations which can interact with this one. That's what we call paranormal activity in many ways. Get into that in the second section. And so we're decoding this tiny range of frequencies into this reality. We say seeing is believing, but believing is seeing. Because how we decode reality decides on how we see reality, because it all takes place in the brain. The way the neurons fire and all the rest of it. And one of the things they found in experiments, I was seeing a film about this a couple of years ago, is that when you get a rigid belief system, the neurons fire in a certain network. And what that does is filter reality in relation to the way that network is firing. So when you get information coming into the brain that is at odds with the rigid belief system, those neuron pathways will fire in a certain way and will not decode that information in a way that affects the belief system. It's like just a filter that just only filters reality in a certain way. And then when you shift your belief system, the neuron networks, as before, break up and they fire in a different way. So belief systems are fundamental to filtering reality to perpetuate themselves. This is our base reality. We are energy. And it's only when we pass through the decoding system of the brain that we appear in our heads as three-dimensional physical bodies. And we can get right out there to many dimensions, which is what psychics do and people in consciousness do, or we can live in the record groove, going round and round and round. And of course, this is the thing about science. Scientists are themselves decoding reality according to their belief system. And so they're trying to understand how something works, but their belief system is decoding reality in a certain way. And so they never get it. When scientists are stuck in the left brain, they cannot decode these greater levels of reality and understanding of reality because the brain will not compute them. That's why they really look at people who say some of this stuff and they go, "You're crazy. Can't be." Because they can't get their heads around it. And it's like in pantomimes we have in Britain at Christmas, where, you know, one of the classic things they do is someone standing on the stage and someone will come behind them and the audience will say, "He's behind you." And then they'll turn around and the person will go with them and they'll say, "There's nobody there." And that's what scientists are doing. Because they're looking at things and they're decoding them in a certain way and they can't see them. Because their brain won't compute it. And this is why the cutting-edge scientists are the ones that have a right brain that is active. And that's what a lot of people at the cutting edge of things like quantum physics are developing. Right brain view. As Einstein said, science without religion is lame, religion without science is blind. I would say this, science without consciousness is lame, religion without consciousness is blind. And indeed, with consciousness, there is no religion. Okay, final bit before we have a break. The holographic internet. This is what this reality is, in effect. And like I said a long time ago now, technology today is starting to mirror, in a much less sophisticated way, of course, but it's starting to mirror the reality we're experiencing. If you say to someone, "Tell me about the internet," they'd say it's graphics and websites and words and colors on a screen. Yes, it is. But the only place the internet exists in that form is on the screen. Everywhere else, it is electrical circuits and what have you. It's not what's on the screen. That's only just there, nowhere else. And you say to people, "Tell me about television." They say, "Oh, it's moving pictures on a screen." Yes, it is. But the only place television exists in that form is on the screen. Everywhere else, it's electronic circuits and frequency fields and all the rest of it. And it's the same with us. The only place this world exists is on the screen. And so many people over the years, scientists and what have you, have offered the possibility that this world only exists in this form when it's observed. Well, from the understanding we're getting now, that's exactly what it is. You know, when you play a DVD, it doesn't play the whole DVD on the screen. It plays that part of the DVD that is being read at that time. And what we're doing is, in the act of observation, we are decoding that part of the vibrational construct into this world, but only the part that we're actually observing. And if you could see the unobserved reality that we're experiencing at its prime level, it would just be vibrational, not solid or anything at all. So what is the matrix, as we call it? It is energetic information being read in various ways to create this illusory, vast, apparently infinite but not, world of solidity. And the other thing, key, that the body is, because it's many things, it's a fantastic creation. It is a crystalline receiver-transmitter, because that's how the decoding system works. We are decoding information, because people say, okay, if we're creating our own reality and all that stuff, how come we're all seeing the same theater now? Because there is a construct, like I call it the cosmic internet, which exists in vibrational form, which we are collectively decoding into this collective reality. You know, you go on the internet in South Africa or Sydney or London or China, or not so much China, but another place where they don't firewall it off, and you're seeing the same, experiencing the same collective reality, although you're in different parts of the world. Now, you can go to different websites, or you can go to the same website, and you might have different views of that website. That's your individual spin on this collective reality, but you're all experiencing the same collective reality on the World Wide Web. This reality is the same. There's a collective reality which we decode. So we all look out the window and we'll see the same car going past, but we'll all have a different opinion on what we think of that car. The basic reality is the same. And we're crystalline. Do you know, we have trillions